Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on the 11th edition of our Grow My Business webinar. As if you are joining us for the first time, our Grow My Business webinar is basically a series that we started to be able to help small, medium businesses to survive the pandemic and even thrive beyond the pandemic. The idea is we engage with experts in different fields of business growth, and we speak to them and they speak to us about the things that we can do and apply to our businesses in practical ways to grow our businesses. So today we have the honor of having Uche Lotanna-Anajemba with us. She's going to be speaking to us through employee engagement during the crisis. You guys may have had issues with your employees or managing your employees during a pandemic. I mean, they have their own personal issues, you have your own personal issues. How do you ensure that they are engaged and they are even highly productive or just as productive? How do you provide them with the resources and tools that they need to continue to be productive at work as well? So she's going to be taking us through all of that. And then Zainab as well. Zainab, you probably already know Zainab. Zainab is going to be taking us through everything that is available on Flutterwave that small, medium businesses can take advantage of today that will help your business to grow, to survive the pandemic, and even after the pandemic as well. So house rules as usual, we're recording this and we're going to be sending it out to everyone that has registered for the webinar, even those that haven't joined, the ones that have registered. It will be sent out this week. If you don't receive it, please send an email to hi@flutterwavego.com. In addition to that, we're also, you can ask questions. We're going to have Uche's session first, and then we're going to go into Zainab's session, and then we'll have a Q&A session. But you are free to ask your questions in the Q&A section during the sessions. We will address as many questions as possible during our Q&A session. We don't want to break up the flow, so we're going to address all questions together. And I think that's pretty much it. Please use the Q&A section for your questions, but obviously feel free to chat and engage with people using the chat function as well. So I think we can get started. Uche, over to you. You can share your screen and everything.
Okay, hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Uche Lotanna-Anajemba, and I'm glad to be here today with all you business owners, entrepreneurs, and even HR people that may have seen this and have had an interest to hear more about employee engagement. So thank you to Flutterwave for organizing these sessions, and I hope that today I can actually add value to all of you. So I'm going to share my screen. I'll be speaking for about 25 minutes, and I must warn you, I actually speak very quickly, very fast. So please, let me be sure I have the right one. Yes, okay. So please drop your questions so that you don't forget and follow me on this journey, okay? So today we're talking about employee engagement during crisis. And I'm sure that everyone would agree that we are in crisis, whether or not we like it or not. And this is because not only are we dealing with COVID-19 and the impact on the global economy, but we are also dealing with the fact that the Naira is devalued. We're also dealing with falling oil prices, as a result of all of these things that have happened. And generally, the economy appears to be in a state of flux. So I want to ask, in the house, right, today, how many people here run a business? If you run a business, can you just send us in the chat room, can you just say yes, yes, just to get a sense of how many people are actually running businesses here. And then also, if you run a business and you actually have more than one employee, can you also say yes, so that, again, just to get a sense of how many people have the same issues. Because if you're a sole proprietorship, then the challenge is keeping you motivated. But if you actually have a business and you have people that work for you, then say yes. Okay, all right, great. So a good number of people, fantastic, good number of people, awesome. So I'm speaking to the right people, okay? So I want you to just keep an open mind and let's go together. I'm going to talk about understanding the fundamentals of employee engagement. I'll show you some global key statistics. I'll give you some strategies for managing employee engagement that you can actually start using from tomorrow, and action planning, and then we'll do the Q&A session. So because it's 25 minutes, like I said, I'm going to go very quickly. But let me just tell you a little bit about me so that you can understand why this is something that is very passionate for me. So I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also a career person. I like to call myself a careerpreneur, and I have about 20 years experience having worked both in and out of Nigeria. I'm a business strategist, I'm a consultant, and currently the managing partner of a company called MML Consulting Limited, where we do business advisory and human capital management. So we basically take SMEs from ideation to execution stage, and also we manage their entire work, the workflows that has to do with their human capital, because human beings really are the key resources in any organization. I'm a performance coach. I have an interest area in performance management, and I've worked with a lot of organizations to roll out performance management incentives. No, not just incentives, performance management systems, that actually motivate people to performance and productivity, and in turn, return on investments for the organization. I am now recently an author. My book called Time to Soar has only just come out, and it's on the Flutterwave store. I'll talk about that at the end. I have an initiative called Classroom to Boardroom, where I actually take people, fresh professionals, from exiting school all the way to a boardroom. So like a mentorship program where we take them through a series of master classes, boot camps, as well as internships, either within my consulting organization or partner organizations, for them to build the required skills to progress in their career. The plan is that we'll take these people all the way from classroom to the day they get to the boardroom, which is either their own boardroom or they sit on the board of other organizations. I also have a knowledge hub called Bite Size with Mula that I run on Instagram. And I have classes, free classes every Thursday, and we have very interesting, fun, and engaging topics. So you want to come and join us. I have a few initiatives and products, 8 Ventures webinar, which is an entrepreneurship webinar, Mula 100, a HR bootcamp, The Extraction is coming soon. And I sit on the board of several organizations, and I've worked in about 6 to 8 sectors in this country. Now, why am I telling you all of this? It's because at the heart of everything that I do is how do you keep people performing optimally? So as an entrepreneur who's hired people, right, to help you achieve your vision, to help you build your business, to help you make sales and make profits, you cannot afford to take your eyes off this aspect of your business. And unfortunately, in this country, or maybe even in other parts of the country as well, human resources, HR, has not gotten the attention that it actually requires. If your people are not optimized, if they're not engaged, if they're not motivated, if they're not happy, they're not going to give you value. And I always tell SMEs that SMEs struggle the most when it comes to employee engagement for one singular reason. You have very limited resources available. You can't afford to incentivize using money all the time. And so today, what I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about too much on how you're going to spend X amount of money, because everyone is dealing with fewer resources because of the impact of COVID. So I'm going to try and give you strategies that would require minimal money for you to execute. So let's go into definitions. Now, I don't like definitions much because they tend to fly over people's heads, but just for the purpose of completeness, I'm going to talk about the definition of employee engagement. And it basically says, it was actually the concept of employee engagement started from a guy called William Kahn. And he said it's the harnessing of organizations, member selves, basically people, to their work roles in engagement. Then people employ and express themselves physically, cognitively, and emotionally during their role performance. Now that sounds like a whole lot of English to me, but in simple speak, which I like, is that employee engagement is the emotional connection that your employee has to the organization. So let me repeat that again. Employee engagement is the emotional commitment that the employee has to the organization. So if your employees don't have an emotional commitment to your vision, to what you're trying to build, you are wasting your time. It doesn't matter how many times you scream and shout or you write them queries, they are still not going to give you value. And the worst that would happen is that you will terminate their employment, or they will walk away from you, and then you start all over again. When with a few tips and tricks you can actually get the most out of your employees working for you at every level. That is right from the cleaner all the way to your board of directors, even contributing meaningfully to your organization so that it's a win-win for everyone. And so I like to use Maslow's hierarchy of needs to describe a lot of things, especially as it impacts people. You know, like I told you at the beginning, I'm a performance coach, so I always try to get to the root cause of every issue. And Maslow's, for those who don't know Maslow's was a guy who came up with, this theory of needs that basically says that everyone's need starts at the basic level. And like a triangle, it goes all the way up. So at the bottom level, it's quite a few people, and you're talking about basic things. So if you look to the left of my screen, I have the original Maslow's hierarchy of needs on there. And it's talking about everything. At the bottom of the needs are your physiological needs. So what am I going to eat? I want water. I need to sleep. I need to dress up. Very basic needs. And you typically expect that from a lot of the younger people in your organization, or the people that are just younger, fresh people in your organization. And then as it starts to go up, the needs start to change. People now start looking for things like employment, resources, their health, property. And at the next stage, you start looking about for love and belonging. So relationships, who's in my network, who am I connected to? By the time they get to the fourth level, they're talking about things like respect. I want my respect. I want to be treated with dignity. And at the very top of it is self-actualization. Do you know what? I have a lot to give. I want to make impact. Now, in crisis mode, everybody goes to the bottom of the pyramid. If you agree with me, can I see a yes in the chat room? In crisis mode, everybody goes to the bottom of the pyramid because you're not really focused so much on impact at that time. Your priority at that time is survival. The bottom of the scale is survival. How am I going to get past today? My business has been shut down for 4 months. I have not made any money. I have bills to pay. I have children's needs. I have family needs. I have employees who are looking up to me. I have dependents that are looking up to me. Right now, I need to, it's like, as they say in Nigeria, all man for himself, God for us all. So in crisis, everybody goes to the bottom of the pyramid. But let me now extrapolate that back into employee engagement. So what usually happens at employee engagement is at the very basic, at the bottom of the pyramid, you would basically have, I would expect, the key word is expect, because I have found that it's not always the case. You would expect to have your younger career people at the bottom of the pyramid, where their priority is, what am I earning? How much is my salary? What is in this for me? How much am I taking home at the end of the day? Okay. And most times you find that they're not necessarily very engaged. So the second you take away anything that takes care of those their basic survival needs, they're already switching off. They're already switching off, and there's nothing you can do about it because they're there for the money. If you even look back at yourself in the early days, you are there for the money. You're not thinking about changing the world. You're not thinking about being a superhero. You're not thinking too much about impact. It's few people who are hardwired that way from the very beginning of their career, if we're going to tell ourselves the truth. And then at the second stage now, security, you'll see people now be more interested in, I want to make sure that my name is always on a project. I want to get overtime. Can I work a few more hours and get overtime, right? I don't like my job that much, but I can get on with it. It pays the bills, so I'm fine. At the second level, you have people who are come see, come sa, neither here nor there, sitting on the fence, okay? Sometimes they are engaged depending on the project, and other times they are disengaged. So you find those people, when you do performance management, they can score an excellence at some point, and other times they are just neither here nor there. They don't have consistent work. So they are distracted by things they are doing outside. They know how to get their work done, but they are also distracted by things outside. Now, usually I say to people that those are the people you also want to pay attention to because they are the ones that can go either way. And the last thing you want is for them flipping to the disengaged side. The engaged people are those who feel a vital part of the business. They feel a sense of importance. They are achievers. They are hungry. You know, they are very busy people. They are also very stressed because they are taking on the work and the burden of these other three people that are not very engaged. And then the last set of people are very engaged, always roaring to go. What can we do? They're always coming up with ideas. They're very creative. They're very excited about what you're trying to do, how you're trying to grow your business. When you tell them an idea, they're running ahead of you with the idea. Before you even say Jack, they've come up with proposals, they've come up with PowerPoint presentations. They're giving you different ideas of how you want to do it. Even if sometimes they don't necessarily get it right, but they are mentally switched on. They act as though the company belongs to them, right? So those people are the ones who are the most engaged in the organization. Now, as entrepreneurs, what you want to do is that in everything that you're doing, from your selection process to your training process, to your performance management systems, to your rewards, to your compensation, you want to make sure that you have this thing at the back of your mind when you're doing your design. And so I'll give you a typical example. If you're building compensation packages, when I build compensation packages for organizations, this is at the forefront of what I'm doing. So at the bottom of the pyramid, most of the benefits, I'm piling it into hard cash in your pockets, net income. Those kind of people, trust me, if pensions are not statutory, they don't want you to pay their pensions. Give me my money. I know what to do with my money. I want my money now, now, now. If you can relate to what I'm saying, can I see a yes in the comments section? But the people that are on the higher level of your needs, they're looking at things like conferences. They want to go to conferences. They want to go where people like them are. They want to network because they're looking for impact. And trust me, they're also looking for how to build their own businesses. And it's not such a bad thing, because what would happen is that they're using your organization to experiment, which means they're giving you value. And I always tell SMEs, right, you are going to have the most attrition rates. You're going to always have a very high attrition rate because you cannot afford to keep people with money, and that's the reality. But I say to people that that's fine. If you can get someone working for you optimally for 2 to 3 years, trust me, you have done very well. Just make sure that in the 2 to 3 years, you keep them highly engaged, pull as much value as they can. And when they are ready to go, you give them their blessings and send them off on their way. They are even the ones that will turn around and become ambassadors for your organization and even give businesses to your organizations. I don't want to go into figures because of confidentiality agreements that I have, but I can tell you organizations that I've worked for that have given them revenues running into millions of dollars by virtue of moving on to other organizations, and I control a budget and they have a service that they can offer. I turn around and I make them go through the due process like everybody else, and if they get selected, they come into a lot of business by virtue of me be working them supporting my growth process and allowing me, giving me the freedom to soar, like my book, to fly when it was time for me to go. Do you get me? So I want entrepreneurs to start to change the way we think. When we hire people, they are not our slaves. Don't take it personal when our employees go, but look at each person and decide a plan for them and maximize what you can get out of them for that period, okay? So now I'm going to go very quickly. So why is this very important? Why are we talking about this today? It is something that is costing a lot of businesses a lot of money. 87% of people working for you are disengaged. When I ran this webinar and I had a lot of employees, when I ran it, I had 70% of people on my webinar disengaged from their workplaces, which tells you something. They're not giving you value. They're stealing your time. They're using your time that you're paying for to do other things. I know that especially in our country, in Nigeria, for those of you that are not in Nigeria, I apologize, but I'm just speaking to Nigeria because that's where I live now. A lot of people in Nigeria always have a side hustle. They're giving more attention to their side hustle than to your business. And now that people are even working from home, their engagement level is even reduced more than ever before. You know, I'm surprised my son hasn't run out here now, because you have kids to worry about, you have the home to run, you want to make sure that your house is sorted. And just by virtue of being in your physical space at home, there are just things that distract you. So even the most high performing people, if you don't have excellence and discipline, it's very hard to keep engaged. So 87% of your people, I tell you for free right now, are disengaged. And this, you know, totally, this is a very small figure if you ask me, that is $500 million lost every year by virtue of disengagement. Right? And 1 in 3 people who are even engaged, they get bored with what they are doing, business as usual. A lot of entrepreneurs tend to stifle creativity because they're like, I'm the visionary, I'm the founder, I'm the one that has ideas. Some of my best ideas have come from the young people that work with me because I pay attention to them. So what I do is I will take the idea and I'll fine-tune it for the audience. But this is something that we need to start paying attention to. Now, what are some of the contributing factors and how do we reverse this curve and keep it mostly upwards? Like I said, it's because there's no room for creativity and innovation. We are not paying a lot of money to the people. We are not paying attention to the people that are the most critical element of our business, and we expect them to then give us value. It is impossible for them to give value when we are not paying attention to them and their own needs. And we think that they are just there to serve us when we are not even paying a premium in terms of compensation. And I say that because I know that averagely SMEs, generally, organizations don't pay a premium anymore. There are statistics that states that there's less than 5 million Nigerians that are earning 1 million naira a month. And I thought, okay, these numbers don't make sense. And I did a rough check and that it was correct. Because if you take even the highest paying industry is oil and gas industry. If you take the total number of people working in the oil and gas industry and even give all of them 1 million naira a month as salary, then you will understand that these figures are actually correct. So already we know that people are not paying a premium for talent. Okay, so how do we prepare for the eventuality? And typically you find that in the curve, when people are new to the role, they're excited, they're happy, they're very motivated, they want to prove a point. Before you ask them, the thing is done, it's on your table, going further than you even expect them to do. They start to build their skills and they get to the point where they're at the top of the game. But what usually happens is that after a while, because of repetitive processes, because of lack of creativity, because of lack of innovation, they start to get bored, they start to get restless, and they start to look for another opportunity. They start to look for, and there's nothing you can do about it. So we want to take people from a place where they are saying, what's in it for me, to where they are saying, what's in it for all of us in the entire organization. I can do more, I can get rewarded, and it's win-win for everyone. That is what we want to achieve in our businesses, okay? And so Professor William Kahn also said that for people to feel appreciated where they work, they want to feel their work is meaningful and makes a difference in the organization. They want to feel valued, respected, and trusted. They want to feel secure and self-confident. So the truth is that this is not the time when you start telling people it's on a need-to-know basis. Right now, everyone is in this together. We are all trying to dig ourselves out of the trenches. So everybody needs to know what is going on. I'm going to talk about that a bit later. So the good news, however, is that most times employers think that people just want money, money, money. But there was a recent survey that was done, I don't remember what year it was done, by a company called MindFlash. And they found out, right, that what employers thought employees wanted was in complete variance to what employees actually wanted. And so it said that employees said they wanted appreciation for the work that they did. So don't allow people steal their work. Say thank you when they've done something for you. They want to know what's going on. Like we say in Nigeria, carry me along. If you carry me along, I will know what you're trying to do and I can help you. Okay, and they want help when they have personal problems, because the truth is that it impacts how they perform. And they want job security. They want to know that their jobs are secure somewhat. Then they want good wages. So money is at number 5, contrary to what employers think, which is at number 1, which means that it's good news for us as entrepreneurs, as SMEs, because it means that we can pick from some of these things and start to do, and we will get a measure of engagement, regardless of the fact that we are not putting money on the table. So let me go to, so the benefits of it, obviously, productivity, increased morale, reduced absenteeism, and better customer service, which overall gives you a return of investment. But let me go quickly to the strategies because of the time. We have very limited time. So some of the tools for checking employee engagement would be your employee engagement surveys, which you can run on Google Forms, on Kenexa, on SurveyMonkey, to find out, so where you do a series of questions and find out how people are feeling. You can do pulse surveys also, which is just what's going on in the organization. Can I get a sense of what's going on in your department? Performance management is also a very good way for you to find out the pulse of your organization. If suddenly you find that performance has dipped, then you know that there is a problem in terms of engagement. Town halls are sessions where you can actually communicate the vision, the state of the business, and what you are trying to achieve to people so that they're coming along with you on this journey. Now, one-on-one sessions. You call somebody into your office and have informal conversations with them, no pressure. They're able to open up and tell you how they're feeling and how the people on their team are feeling. And then obviously employee net promoter score, which is, are you going to refer this company to somebody else? And I always tell people, embed that in your exit interviews so that you're finding out at the point the person is leaving, they are more than likely to tell you why they are walking away and whether or not they recommend somebody and things you can do to fix the organization. So those are some of your tools for checking employee engagement. But let us come to strategy. What are the strategies that a small business can implement from today and start to get immediate results? The first one is career development. You need to show people a clear career path if you're not paying them. I'm going to use a personal example. A few years ago, when I moved to Nigeria to start my working for a small company, small in terms of size and because people did not really know the company, but they were doing revenues that were running into billions. Now, I took the company to work for and took a major pay cut. I took a 75% pay cut from my salary in the UK to Nigeria because I wanted a chance at management. And I did get that. I wasn't paid very much at the time, but I could see how my career was going to grow. I could see I was exposed to a lot of information, a lot of strategy, a lot of people, the network, and I was allowed to create and be part of the process. And so I stayed in that organization. I thought I was going to be there for 1 year just to add manager to my title, but I ended up staying there for nearly 4 years. And when I left that company, I left as a country manager and picked up 70% of the skills that I use today in my own business. So can you see that it wasn't always about the money? It wasn't about the money. I learned a lot of things in that organization. So now is the time for you to pick people in the organization and start to show them a clear career path to the top. How tomorrow, when you resign or not resign, when you retire or when you move on to another business, you can give them, they are trained and ready to take over from you or to even replicate your business. Like become an affiliate, do something similar and replicate your business. I understand that a lot of people that I've worked for, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention names, a certain organization entrepreneur in Nigeria today, a lot of the people that I've worked for him have turned around and started similar businesses to them, and he gives them work to do, opening the door for them and helping them. So you need to start thinking of how do you show your people the path to success at the top of the scale. Now, the second strategy that you can start doing again from today, from tomorrow, is transparent communication. Like I said earlier, this is not the time to be telling people that it's on a need to know basis. We are all in this together, so we all need to know what is going on. We need to know what your plan is. We need to know what you're trying to do to bring us out of this situation and circumstance. Our business has been shut down for months. We've not sold anything. We have not signed up any new clients. We've not sold any new products. What is the strategy? What is the plan? Can you share it with us so that we know and we have some hope that we are going to come out of this? Can you ignite people's motivation by sharing the vision in a way that is believable, transparent, and honest conversations with your workforce? So I want you all on this call today to this week schedule a time and have a town hall session with the people that work for you. I don't even care if it's one person. Schedule a meeting with them and share about your business again and why you're doing what you're doing, and tell them their role in that process, and together you guys move forward and come into place of thriving. We still have 6 months to the end of the year, and so it's not time for you to give up. Now, geographic mobility. Usually this would apply to companies that have maybe branches or partners in other parts of the country as well as international. Maybe this is the time, when they allow us to move around, to start sending people to other parts of other cities. This is the time when that person whose husband or whose wife lives in another city and they've been asking you for a transfer. This is the time for you to give them that transfer. I promise you, try it and you will have their loyalty for a very long time. Right? I have had employees, I've had a manager who sat on my transfer and I walked away. I just got up one day and I resigned. I didn't have a new job because I was like, nobody's going to mess with my family. So this is the time for you. If you want to keep that good person working for you, this is not the time to tell them you must stay in this location because this is where I am. If they've been asking you for a transfer, this is the time for you to do that. You will not give them any additional salaries, but you're going to give them something that they've been looking for. You're going to give them a new area, a new market to go and tackle, and something exciting to do. Now, also, this is also the time, the fourth strategy is job reassignments. Perhaps there's been that man that has been asking you that he wants to do sales and you've kept him in the back office. Perhaps this is the time for you to switch him on, to train him for him to be a salesperson. Perhaps there's a lady who's been sitting at your front desk when you were physically open. Perhaps this is the time when you need to move them to that role. That lady who's sitting at your front desk who's been asking you to move her to HR or to admin because she wants to learn a new skill. Perhaps this is the time for you to do that. Perhaps this is the time for you to move somebody into project because that's where their skill is. I remember when I started that company I spoke about, I was put in value-added services. So basically everything that was a peripheral product to our core product. At the time, it was telecoms infrastructure. So I was responsible for everything that was a peripheral product. And this was 6 months in, I was bored out of my mind and I couldn't wait for the first chance to get out of the organization. And one day, the MD, I'm not exactly sure why, decided to move me to business development. Within a week of moving me to business development, he said, I made a big mistake. You should never have been in value-added services. This is where you ought to be. And that's how I stayed there. And I met every single target that was set, built a team that turned around, and he put some of them as country managers when they opened up into other African countries. So every time I became disengaged, he would switch up my role and I would become mentally switched on again, delivering value for the organization. And then it's time to have employee consultative forums. Now, if you are in sectors like maybe manufacturing, oil and gas, aviation, and a couple of other sectors, and these industries are very heavily unionized. The last thing you want to do is for their unions to get in your business. But if you're in a sector that doesn't have unions, or you're a small business, so you're not worried about unions, right? Then this is the time for you to have employee consultative forums. So basically, you're telling the employees to come together, have a voice that represents them, and they will tell you some of the things you can do to improve their welfare in the organization, or basically how they do work. You can have your HR person lead this, or you can appoint somebody outside of HR working collaboratively with HR to give you the best. So it's like your employee voice, that's simple. And your sixth strategy is revamping your workspaces. Now, let me tell you why this is very important, okay? A lot of people, you don't know people's backgrounds, how they live, where they live, how their homes are. So the truth is, work is an escape for a lot of people, whether or not you realize it. With organizations now shut down and everybody having to work from home, people are dealing with all kinds of things like staying at home in the dreary spaces that they may not necessarily like, or that does not allow them for creativity and innovation. Now, as businesses are starting to reopen again, do you know that changing the paint on the wall in that office, right, to a bright color can actually lift the mood and make people want to come to work? I've had people telling me they want to go back to the office. I said, why? They said they are bored at home and there's nothing interesting for them to do. There's nothing, they're just staring at four ugly walls in the day. So for a little money, so why you might not be able to give people a salary increase, or you've actually taken money off people. For a little money, you can change the paint in an office, or wallpaper, or the decor in the office, where everybody, common space where everyone is, and it would lift the mood of the people. And they want to come in there because those few hours that they are there represents a happy moment for them. Now, I have staff that are coming in 3 times a week to do work as part of our measures at a time like this. But now I'm starting to have a couple of them who are coming in 5 times a week because they are excited, they are switched on, they are engaged, and they like the space. Sometimes they're busy taking pictures, no problem. I don't have a problem with that because they are getting their work done. But I've taken the time to create a working space that is happy, and so they always want to be there. My wall in the office is yellow because I want to represent sunshine for them. So my space is a happy space and zone for them. So I don't know what sector that you are in. Can you drop your sectors just so that I can have a look later on? Drop the sectors that you're in. It doesn't really matter the sector you're in, really. It's your space. Can you make it interesting and engaging for the people that work for you? So these are quick and easy things that you can quickly implement to drive employee engagement in the workspace. Now, if you have a big budget, that's a completely different conversation we're going to be having. But what I tried to do was to streamline to things that would not cost you a lot of money, but give you a lot of impact and results. So my final slide, this is the time for entrepreneurs and HR organizations to show strategic thinking and stellar leadership in how you manage your costs, your culture, communication, commitment, and consistency. Your messaging must be very, very consistent at a time like this, and you must show integrity, sincerity of purpose. Sincerity of purpose. This is not the time for gimmicks. This is not the time to say one thing and do another thing. And this is a time to actually genuinely care. I personally believe that the organizations that will thrive at the end of this are those who actually showed the human side to what they were doing at a time like this. Those who showed the humanity at a time like this and were able to support their employees through these difficult times. I know that people have had to cut salaries. I know that people have had to let people go, but I'd like to say to you, as you're doing that, please do so carefully and responsibly. And when the business recovers, look for ways to give people back the money that you've taken away in performance management bonuses or salary increases, so that when we go into yet another crisis, which we will, unfortunately, because of the way our economy is, a recession was already looming, so it might be a while. These people will remember that when this happened the last time, you looked out for them, you cared about them. And so that's the end of the employee engagement session. And these are some of the things that I do, like I talked about, coaching. I do transformation projects, training, speaking engagement, strategy retreats, and team building. And these are some of my clients that I've worked with in the last 2 years. Actually, there's a lot more than that. I've worked for both local SMEs and local and global SMEs and big organizations, multinational organizations, Coca-Cola, Total, Bet Niger. So every sector, just name it, I've been there, done that. Securities Exchange Commission, GT Bank, GT Homes, sorry, not GT Bank, GT Homes, and Nest Oil, the whole 9 yards. And for you to buy a copy of my book, you need to go to Flutterwave store. And if you're not on Flutterwave, I'm wondering why. You need to sign up with Flutterwave. They are very, very supportive of SMEs, and I'm partnering with them on this book. So my book is on Flutterwave. The ebook is 2,000 Naira and the paperback is 4,000 Naira. The link to order, this will take you directly to the Flutterwave store. If not, go on Flutterwave and look for the book Time to Soar on Flutterwave. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Uche. We're going to bring this particular screen back, and obviously we're recording this and we'll share the link to purchase Uche's ebook. She has done this has been so fantastic. I think that even me as a team lead within the organization, I have been able to take some information and apply it to my team as well. So now we're going to move on to Zainab's session. We have a lot of questions actually, and they're really great questions. I've seen them, but we're going to move quickly on to Zainab's session first, and then we'll come back to the Q&A section. So Zainab, would you like to share your screen?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Okay, so just very quickly, I will just share my screen and let us know about some of the initiatives that Flutterwave has got for business owners. Uche, please, could you stop share so that I can share my screen? Right. All right. Hi, everyone again. Good morning. This is the 11th edition of our Grow My Business webinar. We've been doing this for about 2 months now. And what we basically do is invite experts in their fields to come talk to us about what's happening, what can business owners do to ensure that they stay afloat this period. And that's the reason why we've had Uche on. Very, very insightful presentation from Uche. So I'll just talk very briefly about what Flutterwave is also doing right in this period where there's a lot of uncertainty. Yes, the lockdown has been eased to some extent, but things haven't fully gone back to normal, right? So as an organization, we've put together a couple of things to benefit business owners at a time such as this. One of such things we've put together is this Grow My Business webinar, where we get people to come talk to business owners about the sort of tools they need to have access to, the sort of information they need to know, what are the new initiatives they need to take advantage of, how can they ensure that they grow their business, so to speak, thrive. Yes, there's been a lot of lifting of locked down this period, but things really aren't exactly how they used to be. So how do you quickly adapt to ensure that you are not left behind? So that's what we're doing with this Grow My Business webinar. We hold it every Monday by 10 a.m. So if you have any friend, colleague, business owner who's struggling at this time, even if they're not struggling, there's a thing or two they could learn. So please let them know that Flutterwave is organizing this webinar every Monday by 10 a.m. So we'll be glad to have you, and we'll take your questions. It's also a very good way to get feedback from you, hear from you, regarding any issues or any questions or inquiries that you might have. So in addition to the Grow My Business webinar, we have also partnered with Google. Google has a tool called Google My Business that allows business owners list their businesses on Google, right, for free. So we've done this partnership with Google, and it allows you to list your business. It drives visibility of your business, right? So an example would be if I go to Google and I search for a supermarket, maybe within a business, my business, and display on the first of that Google search. So that's basically what business does. So we've partnered with Google to provide for all Flutterwave account holders. So after this webinar session, we're going to be sending an email, I think by tomorrow. That email is going to have a link that allows you opt in to the service. So if it's something you're interested in, like I said, it's free. All you need to do is click on the opt-in link and then a Google online now. So you need to ensure that your business has that online visibility, right? You could be a small store owner somewhere in a remote part of the country, but once you are listed on Google My Business, then that takes you international, right? Because anyone can do a search on Google, and then they get details about your business. So it's not just the name they're seeing further details about your business. So they're seeing the kind of services you provide. They see things like your opening closing hours. They even get like a phone number. You get to put your phone number, and then from that Google search, they can actually just call you. If you're using a mobile phone, for example, you can just call right from that Google search. You can put your email address, you can put your physical address, you can even put some images of the kind of products that you're selling. So it's a very good one. I would say it's a must-have for every business owner. And like I said earlier, we are providing this service for free for all business owners. So if you're interested, right after the presentation, once you get the email, just click on the opt-in link and then you get that. Another initiative we've put together is the Flutterwave store. I know lots of us would have heard about the Flutterwave store by now. The Flutterwave store is quite easily the easiest way to launch your Flutterwave, to launch your e-commerce business. So this allows you list products, upload images, you can set prices, and even have a delivery company come pick up and deliver your goods to customers, right? So with Flutterwave Store, you're able to manage your business with ease from the comfort of your homes. We know that, like I said earlier, there's been a lifting of the lockdown, but the truth is most people would rather still not go to any crowded area. You'd rather still not go to a clothing store, for example, to go try on clothes. You would rather just go to their website if they have one and look at what you want, look at the size, look at the color, and then just buy it and have it delivered to you. So that's is still completely done without increasing the risk of having to move out and then interact with people. It's all about social distancing now. So if I could do this from the comfort of my home where it's nice and safe, I would rather do it rather than physically go to a location to carry out a transaction and then have the risk of getting infected or whatever it is. So right now the Flutterwave store is also free. So we're providing this for all business owners. If you don't already have a store, just like Uche said, what are you waiting for, right? It's free, it's easy to set up. You can set it up in less than 5 minutes, and it allows you just take all of your goods and service online. So again, the Flutterwave store is not just for those selling goods. If you have a service you're providing, you can also put that service on the Flutterwave store. And then once you do that, all you need to do is share your store link, right, with your customers, either via email or you can put it up on your social media bio. And then people who want to shop from you, all they need to do is click on that link, and then they see a list of all the products that you have for sale, and they just carry out the transaction, add it to their carts and all of that. I will just quickly show us how we can easily set up the store. Like I said, it takes less than 5 minutes for you to set up a Flutterwave store. The idea behind the store is really just to ensure that businesses thrive despite the pandemic. But even post-COVID, you need to have a Flutterwave store because you need to have that online presence to be sure that people can purchase from you. Let's even think about it for a second, right? Assuming you have a physical location, just one in Lagos, what are the chances of someone coming outside of Lagos to buy from you? You know, it's practically zero, because they'll be like, I can easily get this from my own location. But if you have your store listed, I mean, you have your business listed on Flutterwave store, then you're basically opening up the business to everyone and anyone, both within Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. So with the Flutterwave store, people outside of Lagos, you know, where you have your physical location, can actually go to your store and shop from you. And then with our delivery partners, they can have those items delivered directly to their location. Just to mention, we have delivery partners already integrated to the Flutterwave store. However, if you have your own delivery system that works perfectly for you, you can always go with that. So it's just an option that we've made available for business owners. So basically how it works, I'll show you a short demo right after this presentation to show you how it works, is you need to first of all have a Flutterwave account. Once you have your Flutterwave account, you just click on create a store. It's on the left-hand side of your menu. Once you click on create a store, you're able to now upload your product. So if you sell hair, for example, right? So you can now put up pictures of the type of hairs you sell, whether it's bundles or it's wigs, you know, whatever it is. You can put up the products, put up images, put up the weights, whatever other information you want to put, you're able to do all of that. And then you can just post it up. Now, once you've done this for all of your products, assuming you have 20 different products, you can post as many products as possible, by the way, so there's no limit to the number of products you can post. Once you've done all of that, you can now publish your store link to your customers on social media, via email, via WhatsApp broadcast, whatever it is. You can just send that. So what you're doing basically is telling them, look, you can actually buy any of these things directly by just clicking on the store link. You see all the information you have, you know, the size, the weight, even delivery timelines. You're able to put all of that. If it's 24 hours, 48 hours, you can put all of that there. And then that just basically saves you it saves you the stress or the hassle of having to explain every single time someone wants to buy a product from you, right? And even for customers, right, a lot of them are not comfortable with the whole DM me for price, DM me for price. Like it's not really top secret if you're selling. You're an Instagram seller, for example, everybody that wants to buy from you, sometimes when you tell them DM for price, it's just, you know, it just puts them off and they're like, okay, do you know what, let me just go and get, you know, from someone else who has their prices displayed. So with the Flutterwave store, you don't need to do all of that. You as the buyer, you can see all the prices listed. You can look for the item you want, click on it, pay. You don't even need to call the customer, right? I mean, you need to call the seller to start asking questions because everything you need is already displayed. And you as the seller, it also improves your turnaround time for sales. Because previously where you'd have someone DM you for price, you now engage, go back and forth. Sometimes all the information that you've posted on your page, they still ask you the same question. So what color is it? What size is it? How much is it? How long will it take? All that information is already displayed, but they still, you know, call you, DM you, WhatsApp you, and that engagement takes some time, right? And then at the end of the day, they probably tell you, I'll get back to you, right? But with the Flutterwave store, all that is eliminated. So you can now have more time to focus on other things, right? Because you're sure that anyone buying from you, you know, all the information they need is displayed. And in addition to that, you also get information from all of your buyers, right? So take, for example, someone who just contacts you or someone who walks into your physical shop and they say, okay, I want to buy this item. How much is it? 5,000 naira. You bring out your card, you pay, you collect the item, you go. You might not even know the name of that customer, right? You don't know anything about that customer. You just know that somebody came and bought this pair of shoes from me, right? But with the Flutterwave store, it takes you a step closer to your customer. You're able to get the customer's name, you have the customer's phone number, you have the customer's email address, you know, you can engage further. If you have a sale coming up, for example, you can send them a text message, you can send them an email, you know, you can even call them, thank them for their purchase and let them know that, okay, you bought this pair of shoes in that color. I wanted to let you know that this other colors are available, or these other sizes are available. It just takes you closer to your customer. So you're able to do so much more than just sell, right? And that ensures customer stickiness, because it's all about emotional. I mean, it's what Uche talked about earlier on. It's all about the emotional attachment, because they now have that attachment with you. Okay, oh, she called me after my sale. Oh, that was interesting. Nobody else has called me thing. Or you can even decide to, since you have further information, you can send them messages, you can even send them a message on their birthdays, things like that. You know, it makes it easier for you. You have those analytics available to you on your dashboard, right? Flutterwave dashboard is what you use to manage your Flutterwave store. So this is just a run through of some of the benefits why you need the Flutterwave store. You don't need to have a website, right? It's more or less like you're creating your own website. You don't need to be a technical person. You don't need to know how to code or write anything. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. We'll show you a short video to show that you can actually do all this in less than 5 minutes and you can start selling. It gives you uploading your products. When you're listing them, you're able to put the total number that you have available. I don't know, I hope you can still hear me. You're able to put the total number of products you have available, such that when it is sold out, it is sold out, right? As against when you're just selling randomly on Instagram, for example. It's possible that you have just one item left, and then, you know, you have 2 people pay for that item. So then there's the issue of, okay, do I do a refund and all that? With the Flutterwave store, it helps you with your inventory management. So if you have just 20 pieces left, once the 20th piece is sold, it shows sold out. So that takes care of inventory for you. And also you have multiple payment options available. So someone wants to buy from you, after they've selected what they want, they've added it to their cart. At the point of checkout, it asks them what payment option they want. So you can either decide to pay with your card, pay with bank transfer. If it's USSD you want, you can do that. QR code, all those payment options are available. Also, it accepts local and international payment cards. Right, so these are just screen grabs of what it looks like. Like I said earlier, at the point of payment, you have to put in certain information. So things like full name, email address, phone number, delivery address, things that you probably wouldn't normally have from a walk-in customer. You're able to do all of that. And when the customer makes a payment, an e-receipt is generated and sent to the customer's email. You as the merchant selling, you also have an e-receipt sent to your own email. And then remember I said we work with logistics companies, right? The logistics company also gets a notification telling them that there's an order to be picked up from the customer's location. So the logistics company comes either next day or in 48 hours, depending on what is agreed, picks up the order and does the delivery to the customer that has made the payment. So it's actually very seamless, very straightforward. It's something that every business owner should have. It just takes care of everything from you, from your logistics to your inventory management to even marketing, right? Because with a single link, they're able to see all of your products, right? They don't need to keep scrolling or clicking and all of that, going back and forth, as like when you have on Instagram, for example. With one link, they're able to see all the products you have, and then they can easily just buy from you. And yeah, so in summary, the Flutterwave store, like I said, is helping you take your business online. You're able to sell to customers both within the country, outside of the country. It takes care of your inventory management system for you. It takes care of logistics, the delivery process as well. That's for those interested in using the integrated delivery service. If you already have your own delivery process sorted out, it's fine. You can still go ahead with it. The customer will just make the payment and then you go ahead and engage your delivery company to send. So it also gives you access to analytics, right? It's very, very robust. In addition to all those details I mentioned earlier, it can even give you further information about the time of the day when more people shop. So for example, if you have more people shopping in the evening, it would be a good one to say, okay, do you know what? I want to do flash sales in the evening, 7 p.m. Maybe that's when I notice most people are online and they're shopping. I can easily do flash sales around that time because I'm sure that more of my customers will be online and be able to spend than just doing a random flash sale. If you see more people shop maybe on the Tuesday, on the Wednesday, or on the weekend, all that information is available to you. So you can now make intelligent decisions about your business, how to run it, how to improve sales, how to improve transactions. Those sorts of information is what you get with the Flutterwave store. And everything, like I mentioned earlier, is available to you for free. So you don't pay anything to set up on the Flutterwave store. All you need to do is click on the sign up link and you're good to go. In 5 minutes, I think, I will just show us a quick video to show how to set up your Flutterwave store. Right.
And I'm a product designer at Flutterwave. I want to walk you through what we've been building for the past couple of days. Welcome to my dashboard. I'm going to walk us through 2 processes. The first process is how to set up your store and add products to the store. The second process will be how your customers will pay you and use your store. So I'm going to click on the store. By default, you have no products or store. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my own store now. My business name is my store name by default. I'm going to go and change mine to something else. I'm going to go with drinks and let's see, fun. You'll notice that I updated my store URL to reflect my store name. I am going to leave my store offline because I want to add products to my store before I take it live. I have successfully created my store. I now have my store name and my store URL. My URL is what I'm going to share with my customers for them to be able to make payments. You can only have one store on your Flutterwave account. I'm going to go ahead and add just one product. It's good to know that you can have more than one product. I'm going to go ahead and call this Tiger Nut Milk. Tiger Nut Milk goes for about 1,000 Naira right now. Milk that's made from Tiger Nut. I'm just going to go with 0.38 and I have 10 items in stock. Next step is to take my store online. Now my store is online. I am going to proceed to the customer page, which is basically your storefront. As you can see here, Drinks and Fun as the name of my store. Flutterwave Store Demo is the name of my account. We have here the description of my store. As you can see, Tiger Nut Milk. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 bottles of Tiger Nut Milk. Click on Pay. I'm going to go ahead and refill this. Now we have a lot of payment options. You can give your customers a lot of payment options.
Okay, so that's it really. That's a summary of the Flutterwave store. Like you saw, it takes literally 5 minutes to set up your store. It's not complicated at all. And as soon as you set up your store and you take your store online, you can actually start receiving payments. So let us know if there are any questions, any further inquiries, and we'll be happy to answer. Wendy, over.
Thank you very much, Zainab. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have quite a few questions already. I'm going to go all the way to the initial question, the first question that we got, and then we will answer it accordingly. And we'll try to get to as many as possible. But as usual, this is being recorded, and you can, when we make it available online, we will be sending the links out If you don't get it, please reach out to us and we'll be able to send it to you. Okay, first question I think is for Uche. I just got into operations management. I need some insights in how best to manage employee performance and ensure they meet their targets, and what to do if they don't. I think, Uche, you've kind of covered how to manage employees' performance, but this question is also asking, what do they do if they don't meet their targets?
Okay, so I'm going to answer it in a way that other people can benefit. So basically, performance management is you have to have a solid plan for performance management, and that's everything from defining goals, roles and responsibilities, your overall strategic objectives for the year, and then let that cascade into the actual deliverables for each person. So SMART goals, specific, measurable, time-bound goals, and then have a reward system at the end. Now, what also happens is that outside of the reward system, you should also have a performance improvement plan that basically says, I haven't done great. This is what my challenge was. So, if I can get training in this area, if I can get support here, I can do better. So the key thing that a lot of organizations meet is that final bit, the performance improvement plan. Performance management is not supposed to be punitive, so you're not supposed to use it to punish people, but you're supposed to use it to find out the areas where people are struggling and then support them through the process. And there's all sorts of things you can do, from actual formal training, informal trainings, job shadowing, coaching, and exposure to other projects, or even a mentor system in the organization. Now, I usually recommend that for you to actually let the person go, you need to know that you have done all you were supposed to do, which is helping the person grow. And when the person continues to not perform, before you let them go. Sometimes you also find that it might be a chance for you to move the person to another role, because they might be lacking the competencies or the interest in the role that you've given them to do. So maybe that's also the time to have a look and realize that, and if it turns out that they might do better in another function, then maybe that's the time to move the person to that function. I can tell you many stories of people who were rated as underperformance, and the second we switch them to another role, they become above average performance. They just were in the right role in the first instance. So I hope that has helped.
Yes, thank you so much. Next question. So we have quite a few questions from this person. So I'm going to try and lump maybe like 2 or 3 together. Number one is, Zainab, are you talking to us? You're on mute.
Yeah, I think there was a question that before.
All right, so how do you manage an employee that thinks you as the CEO over-criticizes their work and do not give them space to work?
So the first question is self-evaluation. Are you over-criticizing their work? Are you micromanaging them? Because if you're doing that, then after a while, they'll feel stifled and you're going to diminish their creativity and their innovation. So all the big organizations that we all look up to, the Googles and all those places, their employees are allowed to thrive and be creative and innovative. Your role is to set the vision for the organization, hire the right people, and allow them use their skills and their creativity to come up with products. Then you take that, fine-tune it for your business. So maybe you need to self-evaluate and check if you're doing that. And if you're doing that, maybe you need to also step back a little bit, give them guidelines, explain the vision to them, what you're trying to achieve, give them guidelines, and then manage their work from a safe distance. So I think the first step would be for you to just leave all sentiments aside and self-evaluate. It might be that you're actually doing that.
Yeah, I think that pretty much answers the question. So I'm going to move on to another person's question. Person says, what a fantastic presentation. What happens when you have your salary cut to 0 and you are being micromanaged? No salaries, and you are asked to work 3 a.m. to 5 p.m. 3 a.m.
3 a.m. to 5 p.m.
That is...
Okay, so I'm going to say something that is a bit controversial. Your salary has been cut to 0 and you're being asked to work 3 a.m. to 5 p.m. I want you to go and resign.
Oh, the person said 8 a.m. 8 a.m. I think it was 3 a.m. was a typo. I was scared.
3 p.m. to 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on zero salary.
Yeah, it's volunteer work at this point.
Yes, it's volunteer work, and you didn't sign up for volunteer work, okay? So please, I'm sorry, go and resign and go and look for another job.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't, just that's all. Go and resign and look for another job. If you signed up as a volunteer, that's different. And even then, when people sign up to volunteer with me, I ask them, what's your plan? How long do you want to do this for? I don't want you working for me for 1 year as a volunteer. That's me using you, right? And I'm not a slave dealer. So if you didn't sign up for volunteer and you're on zero salary, you need to go and resign and look for another job.
Yeah. Cut from 250,000 naira to 0. Whoa, that the person just gave more information. Yeah, okay. I think Uche has told us or just suggested what you need to do. But obviously consider your context and everything else and make a decision. Okay, next question is, this person says, that was amazing, Uche. I could literally play this every day for the next 2 months. How do you think is the best way to request for a change in role in an organization that rarely allows it?
So scripture says, ask and it shall be given unto you. If you don't ask, you're not going to get it. So what's going to happen if you ask and they say no? At least you asked. And they will have it at the back of their mind that you have an interest. And the day they are now flexible enough to do that, they will remember you and they'll do that. So write a business case for why you want to go into that role. Write all the skills and experience that you have and why you have an interest in that role. Go to your line manager. Okay, I don't know what the structure of your position is. Go to your line manager, have a conversation with them, and then maybe go to the manager of the role that you're trying to get into. Find out a bit more about the role, because you might end up realizing that from what you know from the outside might not necessarily be what you think it is. You know how people always look at, so I'll give you a funny example. So I used to work on a protocol team in my church, and what they see is the outside glam, you know, you're all dressed up and nice and sitting behind the leaders. But the truth is that right inside the room, you're actually serving people tea. So you might find out that what you think you know about the role from the outside might not be as fun as you think it is. So have a conversation, and then when you're sure that this is the right role, go and have that conversation. If they say that the time is not right or they don't do that, then wait. And if that process, if you become really, really convinced that this is the role you need to do, then maybe it's time for you to look outside.
Okay. Thank you so much. Next question is, okay, so someone asked, how can I connect with you? Uche, I believe this is for you because it was when your presentation was on. So do you want to tell everybody how they can connect with you now, or should we address that after?
Maybe we can do that at the end when we're talking about the book.
Yeah, so all your social media platforms, your website, email, okay. Yeah, so we'll come back to this question. Okay. Next question is, are there any trainings you can recommend for performance management and process management?
There are thousands of trainings out there. There are loads of trainings on all sorts of platforms. You know, if you go to SlideShare, there are thousands and thousands of presentations. But the truth is that I always say to people, so if you look at those presentations, if you're not in the class, it's like if somebody gets my slides, and they just read it, it's not going to be the same as when you sat physically in this session or you watch the video and the replay, because it's not everything that you put into the slides. So you're going to get some bit from those trainings. But there are loads of companies that are running training sessions all over Nigeria. I run training sessions as well. So go to Google. There are loads of trainings out there for free. If you're looking for free sessions, go to Google. But if you're looking for paid sessions, then go to one of the HR organizations that run performance management trainings and sign up for the next one. You know, knowledge, you can't underestimate the value of paid knowledge, right? You can't underestimate the value of paid knowledge. So you can imagine that if this is a free webinar and you're getting this amount of content, imagine what you get in a paid webinar.
Yeah. Okay, so next question is, how do you revamp workspaces for companies who are still fully remote, and remote work may be the new norm going forward?
Okay, if it's a new norm going forward, then that's not your strategy. Now, remember that not every strategy will apply to every organization. So you pick and choose what works for you. So, however, I can give you another thing you can do. You can do virtual team building sessions. Now, if you look on Zoom, if you use Zoom, you would see that Zoom allows you to breakout rooms now. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
So you can use your Zoom to run breakout sessions and do team building exercises on it as a way of driving engagement. Maybe what's it called? Maybe once a month you do breakout sessions. You can even run your strategy sessions on Zoom. So you can say room 1, you guys are in charge of do our cost efficiency. Room 2, do this. Room 3, do that. So that's, you can use that system instead if you're not going to physically go back into your office. That strategy was for those who are actually going to go into a physical space. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I guess let me get into some questions for Zainab. Zainab, someone's asking, how do I find settings for the integrated shipping? I couldn't set it up as I don't have a shipper. You're on mute at the moment.
Okay, so it's going to be a bit difficult to explain it without like showing it, but it's typically when you go to your store, on the top right hand corner you see edit store, then there's a part there for shipping. But if you could maybe send an email afterwards, then maybe we could send you screen grabs or walk you through how to set up a shipping. But it's typically when you go to edit store, on the top right hand corner you see the option there.
Okay. Next question is, in a situation where my customer does not have an email address, where else can they pay and receipts be sent to them for them to see? I believe this has to do with Flutterwave store.
Yes, so we send email address is a compulsory field, right? So there are some certain standards for e-commerce buying and selling in Nigeria, and email address is one of those requirements, right? Because you need to, if anything at all goes wrong, you need to be able to contact the customer. So email address is even more of a mandatory requirement than phone number. So they need to put in an email address, not just to receive their email, but for other ways to contact them in future. So email address is a compulsory requirement for e-commerce in Nigeria, actually.
Okay. Next question is for Uche. As an event manager, how do I get my staff engaged, as there is a restriction on events and work can't really go on for us?
Okay, work can't go on for you, you still have them hired. I want you guys to get a few of your clients, right, and do free virtual team building sessions for them. So use the Zoom, like I said, use the Zoom breakout rooms, create a free team building event for them. You can also do, you can do, so events are still going on. They're just going on virtually. You can have, give them ideas like, let's say, I don't know what they would typically do. Let's say if I wanted to do let me use my book. If I wanted to do a virtual book launch, right? I would have the books sent out I would find a dispatch company, have the books sent out to the people. They will get a Zoom invite, and we will run it like an event via Zoom, just the way we are running this training. So you can get your clients to still allow you run their virtual processes, their virtual AGMs, their virtual webinars for a smaller fee than you would typically charge. Mm-hmm. Events are still going on. There are virtual parties going on. A DJ is playing music in the background and people are dancing. There are, you can still, but it's just that you're going to earn less. So if your people feel like they have something that they're doing, then they'll be engaged. However, if your clients are such that they're not even doing anything virtual at the moment and you cannot do much, maybe you need to start looking for another business that you can do in a time like this and get them involved in that creative process to keep them engaged while we're waiting out the lockdown.
Okay. Next question. Someone's asking, do you have any experience with e-commerce companies? How do you think performance can best be managed there? But I'm not sure if you need more context or if you can answer the question.
Well, I think I need more context. And apart from that, I would regard Flutterwave like an e-commerce company, right? I think Flutterwave is better positioned to answer this question.
Well, it depends. I think it depends on the type of e-commerce company, right? If you're a technology company like Flutterwave, where we don't actually sell physical goods and services, physical goods, but we're able to provide technology services and products to people to use, then the way that we're doing it internally is we have weekly town halls. Our HR is always available for us to talk to. And it's hammered in. If you need to speak to somebody, you can. And this company has even gone a step further. We have a careers coach that we can speak to about things that affect us personally and, work-wise, that kind of, yeah. So there's a lot that happens in Flutterwave that ensures that we are as engaged as possible. We're one of the lucky ones that basically we're well set up for going fully remote. So I think, I'm not sure if that answers your question, but if you can share more context, then we'll be able to respond. Okay, Zainab, I think we can, let me see. Okay, I think maybe this question will be for Uche. We've had quite a few questions from this person, and I don't want us to answer. We were not able to answer all because we have to give everybody else an opportunity. But how do you manage staff that are involved with each other and are now getting emotionally involved, and this is now making them sentimental in their approach to work and in their decisions and opinions to things?
Okay, so what does your HR policy say?
Yeah. Question one.
Into workplace relationship allowed. If your HR policy was silent on it, then I'm sorry, there's nothing you can do about it. So I always tell people, like, listen, don't be afraid to put these things into the policy. It's about the language. If you were silent on it, you didn't tell people whether they were allowed to date and marry, then if they are doing it, how do you know for a fact? If it's impacting the work that they're doing, then you need to have a performance conversation with them about their performance without reference to their relationships, because that's now getting a bit personal. Okay, if your organization had your policies say that people are not allowed to interdate or intermarry, you need to remind them of what the policy says, and that if this starts to impact their work, you are going to invoke the terms in the policy. Now, I actually know a multinational organization where if you intermarry, they actually give you guys some kind of bonus, because they found out that, so apparently what used to happen was people would date, and then when they get married, one person would resign because they were, I think the policy, I don't know, there was something in the policy that meant one person had to resign. They now found out that they were losing their good people. Because if you're working in a job where you're working 10 hours a day, the person you're seeing every day is your colleague. And after a while, because of proximity and vulnerability, people started to date, and they had their good people resigning. And so they changed the policy and said, if you have two people working here and they intermarry, they actually got some kind of, I don't know what they call it. They call this some fancy name, marital support, whatever, bonus. And so it no longer became a problem. Do you see? People could date knowing that it shouldn't impact our work. We can get married, and we can even get compensated for getting married. So what does your policy say? I can't help you without knowing what your policy says.
Yeah.
But if you didn't speak to it, there's not much you can do. If it's impacting performance, you need to have a performance conversation with them and keep the personal conversations out of it.
Okay. So I think we can go into, I think we have to kind of round up because we are now 19 minutes over the time. But Uche, would you like to go into a little bit more detail on your book, and then also how to reach you? Because someone else has said they would like to have you talk to their team on productivity and growth. Okay. So I think you can kind of just go into details on your book. Where can we buy your book? And then also, how can people reach you?
Okay, so right now in Nigeria, my book is sold exclusively on Flutterwave. So the links at the bottom of the page will take you directly to my store at Flutterwave. You can buy the ebook for 2,000 naira, or you can buy the paperback for 4,000 naira. The paperback will be delayed by a couple of weeks because of obviously printing, shipping delays. But you're going to go into the list, and once it comes out, you'll be the first set of people to receive it. The ebook, if you buy the ebook, you're going to get it within the next 24 hours. And the links are all there. It's exclusively on Flutterwave. Now, let me tell you what the book is about. The book is basically, as the name suggests, it's time for us to soar. And it's interesting that I started writing this book without realizing that COVID was going to happen and keep all of us locked down. So just like the bird, at the end, I don't know if any of you know the Bible story about the flood. And at the end of the 40 days, Noah would send the bird out to go and check whether things were okay. And then one day the bird didn't come back. And that's how we knew that it was time for him to open the ark. So it's instructive that at a time like this, the book came out at a time like this when they're saying, okay, lockdown is over. You can start dipping your leg, one leg in, one leg out. So it's time for us to soar. We still have 6 months to the end of the year. It's a book that it's a book of 40 triggers, personal triggers that will get you thinking about a specific area of your life and for you to make changes in those areas so that you are on the journey to greatness. So it talks about everything from family to your friends, to your attitudes on money, to your body, to your health, to being average and excellent, an all-round performance book. So it's pretty cheap. The e-copy is really cheap. I would like for you to go, everyone on this webinar, please go and buy the book and start that journey of greatness. I think it's time for us all to soar. We've been at home for too long. It's time for us to hit the road and get things going. And for you to stay in touch with me, these are my details. That's my email, my website, Instagram, my Instagram page, which is my knowledge hub, my informal knowledge hub. So I'm more playful there. And obviously I'm on LinkedIn as well. So you'll see some of the replays of some of the past classes that I have. And I have a free class every Thursday at 8 p.m. without fail, except I'm teaching somewhere else. So you can stay in touch with me by these channels.
Okay, thank you so much, Uche. This was really, really insightful, really, really impactful. As you can see, I mean, everybody has said that. So thank you so much. And also, if you came to this webinar, we're going to be sharing more details on Uche's book via email, and also maybe an exciting gift via email as well. All that will be shared this week. So you can look forward to that. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We will see you next week with another insightful session. And if we don't receive the recording, please, like I said, keep us honest, send us an email. We will send you the link for the recording of the webinar. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you. Thank you, Uche. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.